What's the right way to test your motors after a big crash? Asks Vitali Sacred. Send it over a lake. That'll scare the motors into not crashing because they want to. No, I'm joking. After a big crash, I mean, you listen to the motors and see that they sound smooth. You spin the motors with your. So after a big crash, you visually inspect the motors for damage. Like, do you just see that the motor is gouged to shit? Okay. You spin the motors with your finger. Do you feel roughness that wasn't there before? And then if those two things check out, you inspect the windings maybe for damage. Did the motor burn? If the windings are discolored or burned, then I probably would be careful about arming the quad because that can fry the ESC too. Once the motor sort of checks out physically, arm the quad and listen to the motor. So first you're going to arm the quad. Does the motor spin? Okay. If the motor stutters or doesn't start up, you fry the motor or the ESC. If the motor starts smoothly and spins at idle, then you raise the throttle and you hover and you listen. Do the motors sound smooth or does one of them sound rough? Does the quad seem to be flying normally? And then the next thing I would do is some throttle punches, just line of sight. If you can't fly line of sight, you can do it under the goggles, but like right in front of yourself, not like literally 2 feet in front of your face, but somewhere safe where if the quad falls out of the air, you'll be able to recover it. Do some throttle punches and just bop, 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 so that you can sort of stress the motor a little bit. Maybe do some flips and rolls, again, both directions, to sort of stress the motor and see if it stutters or falls out of the sky. And at that point, I would probably just send it. That's Bushy the Bird has a good suggestion. With the quad on the ground, right side up, use turtle mode to spin the motors. That way it won't go anywhere, but you'll just be able to listen and see that it sounds smooth. That's pretty smart. That's pretty smart. Yeah, it's a good question. That's the sort of checklist for what I do after I crash and want to make sure my motor's good.